In early March, Amy and I did a trip to the Panhandle area of Florida, some with friends, some by ourselves, hiking, bicycling, and paddling. We spent some time in Georgia on the way down, and then to St. Mark's, and finally over to St. George Island for some beach time. And here's our group from the left: Beverly, John, Bob, BJ, Karen, Steve, Paul, Libby, Amy, and myself. First, we stopped at a site called Passaquoddy, built by Eddie Owens Martin. He was a gambler, a drug dealer, fortune teller who moved to New York from this area and then came back when his mother died. And this was supposed to represent, I guess, his religion, although he never had a congregation or anything like that. He had right beside Fort Benning, the Army base. He inherited it from his mother and came down here and lived the latter years of his life building this. We're at Providence Canyon State Park and heading down to the bottom. Farming caused incredible erosion and created what they call the Grand Canyon of Georgia, I guess, which we're going to see in just a moment, starting at the Visitor Center. Here we're at the dividing point. Canyons 1, 2, and 3 to the left, but it's really muddy and not as high as the canyon walls. So we're going to go to the right, canyons 4 and 5. These are canyons 4 and 5 that we're in right now. This is the upper end of Canyon 5 and probably the centerpiece, that huge white, beautiful rock there. Surrounded by red clay walls on the left and on the right. And over there some fluted formations, kind of like, we both think it's a lot like Bryce Canyon National Park, and even like Zion in some places. This is really like one of the slot canyons out in southern Utah. We're at Providence State Park near the town of Lumpkin, and Amy came up with a...
I'm forgetting it.
Okay, think of it and go ahead when you're ready.
I once knew a gal from Old Lumpkin who always would dress like a pumpkin. She thought that was best to be that way dressed to appease those fierce women of Lumpkin.
Great! Let me clap. Perfect.
I got the two middle lines mixed. Yeah. One, the other should be reversible. At
the bottom of Providence Canyon State Park, Amy is reciting poetry.
A limerick.
A limerick, actually, yeah.
I don't know if limerick's not.
And there's the creek that created all of this canyon. It's amazing. Not a lot of water, but over time it eroded the sandstone, obviously.
There once was a young man from Bumpkin who always was called Country Bumpkin. He'd only eat greens and fat pinto beans and could not abide eating pumpkin.
Another good one, Amy. Here's a view from an overlook above the canyon. I think this is canyons 1, 2, and 3 that we're looking down into as the sun is just about to set. Here's a still photograph of the setting sun. And the poetic marvel Amy has come up with another lumpkin limerick. Okay, take it away, Amy.
He was only a poor country bumpkin, but proud to be living in Lumpkin. He'd play pool all day, then put up some hay, then go home to eat pie made of pumpkin.
Great! We're at Kolomoki Mound State Historic Park in Georgia, and heading right now to the Temple Mound. These mounds were built between 200 and 900 CE by the Swift Creek and Weedon Island Indians. There's like 8 or so mounds. The Temple Mound, which is in the distance there, and really looks like a small mountain. Most amazing is how big it is. I mean, it literally doesn't look like just a constructed mound. It's a huge mountain almost, and rivals some of the pyramids and things like that were built elsewhere. Well, the forecast for the week is really bad. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, almost certainly rain. And it gets colder on the weekend, so we picked a bad week. Last week was perfect, but you never know about the weather. And as we just got to the stairway that goes up to the top of this mound, the Grand Mound, it started raining. And Amy went back in the car. I took shelter under this tree, and hopefully to wait it out and get to walk up to the top. There were 8 mounds all together here, and this is the biggest one. It was kind of in the middle, but in the middle of the mounds also was the village, and there was a dirt earthen wall all around it. And this was the 4th largest mound in Georgia, so pretty big. And so the rain has stopped, and I'm heading up to the top of the Temple Mound. The mound is 56 feet high, 325 by 200 feet at its base, and originally there were structures on top. Temple Mound, the top. Believe it or not, there's a mound right there. Very low, but back in the day there was a mound there. Then the mound way out there, a little bigger. And then the huge mound, the Temple Mound, which dwarfed everything else. By 5 o'clock or so, we made it to Shell Island Fish Camp, where we're going to spend 4 nights. It's mainly a fishing destination. Or got a motel there, cabins over there, which we're in the one right there. The advantage of the cabins, they've got 2 bedrooms, 2 beds, bathroom, but mainly a kitchen. And then they've got some relatively new cabins on the other side of the owner's house, which is there. The marsh is right out there. The Wacissa, I think, river that goes by the Shell Island Fish Camp goes to the ocean that way, down there. And here's the fish camp from the riverside. Lots of boat storage.
Suggestions about which?
Yes, sir. I'll explain all that to you on the map.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But then when you say 32
Then
miles, I mean,
I'd say they need the kayak, he needs the canoe, and we'll throw everything in here.
We're going from right here, sir.
Yeah, we're starting right here, right here.
They were like, where we're going from. Yeah.
I need an action movie. Go to it, Steve. Show us how you do that thing. No, the pump.
Oh, this?
Yeah. I want,
show me
I want some action. I want some action. one. Did you ever count the steps it takes to pump it up?
Unfortunately, you may show up on YouTube there.
Oh, I ain't have to get my permission to do that. Don't you?
Apparently not.
Well, you can contact me for censorship.
Are you all wearing?
Between here and that dock. You can spend all day.
I've got it on.
If you go into a creek, it's going to go into a spring.
Here's the put in just beyond the rental guy. That channel leads down to the Wacissa River just a short ways. BJ, you're getting videoed. This is quite, we're at the, really the start of the Wacissa. Here we're paddling up a side channel of the Wacissa called the Little River. This is where we're turning around. It's pretty well choked up with vegetation from here on. And I don't think there's a spring for a good ways, so it's more or less a up and turn around. And on down the river is the big blue spring that we want to see. And there go the rest of our group. And here we're coming back out into the Wacissa River. And down to the Big Blue Spring, I think it is next. Okay, here we're going up the side channel to Big Blue Spring, which makes a U in and out of the main river, which is back there.
Will, how far have we been on your watch?
Almost 4 miles.
Okay. I've started mine late, so I'm about half a mile off.
Oh, there it is. Up ahead is a flag, kind of in the middle of the river. We're not sure why, or the guy told us about it, but I'm not sure what he said about it. Lots of birds. And we're seeing jumping fish every now and then. Here's some photographs of the birds we saw. First great egrets, and then the little blue heron. Did you find any place to stop?
No.
So no. Right back there, there's dry land, but you can't get to it really.
And that shows the one of the hiking trails in Wacissa,
Is in there.
like a quarter mile in.
Yeah, if you could get out here, this would be a wonderful place to stop, but don't think we're going to be able to. Well, we just turned around. There's a nice dry ridge right over in there, but there's no way to get to it. Bob is exploring, but hasn't been able to find any because it's so marshy. So at this point, started around 9:50 or so, or 9:45. Now it's 12:20 or so. Well, there's the river. We've come up to the entrance to the Blue Hole. Makes a U, and we're going from the south entrance, I guess. And I think we're going to have lunch at the Blue Hole because that's the only place you can really get out of the water. What? The Blue Hole again. Guy jumped off of it there. Crowd here, it's different people. Before it was kids. This is a whole bunch of people now. And here are some still photos of the guy jumping into the pool. Well, we're having a pretty nice lunch at Blue Hole Springs, and this stupid airboat comes driving up. Yeah, it's the guy that owns the rental place where we rented the kayaks. Totally. At least he's not making huge sounds, and it's not quite as loud. This is Little Blue Spring.
You're going to have to deal with BJ now.
Ramming speed, full speed ahead.
Yes, Will takes talking into his camera and ramming into people.
I think they were back in there.
Yeah.
As we paddled back, laying on a log, we saw this alligator, the only one we saw on this day.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh, those things, yeah, whatever they are. They're not water lilies. And we're wondering, what are those? And lots of them right there. These things ought to be banned. Noisy, they're harmful to wildlife. No redeeming merit, except somebody making some money. And here we arrive back at the foot end.